Hi, welcome to Plus Muscle, the premiere episode. This is a plus size podcast where I will be talking about health, nutrition, and exercise, and kind of providing an encouraging beginning and notes about what's worked for me on my journey with getting towards the health, endurance, body composition, all the goals that I have, and that some of you might share. And we're going to kind of debunk slash talk about some of the misconceptions around plus size people, around fatness as a whole, um, and kind of dissect fat phobia and how it impacts us as plus size people, at least in my experience, and how you can kind of get through that and work with yourself and your mindset to get towards your goals, whatever they may be. Um, Women's health is important to me, and plus size representation is important to me. So I just thought I'd sit down and share what everything I've learned because there's a whole lot out there and it can be really overwhelming. So we're just gonna do a gentle slope in to what's the word? Encourage you to leave behind some all or nothing thinking and some shame and fat phobic tendencies that society's kind of put upon us as plus size people. Because there is a lot of negative connotation with being plus size and a lot of misinformation about what being plus size means in terms of health. So there's a lot of negative dialogue around plus size bodies out there, and I'm here to kind of work with you and share what's helped me get through that and achieve my goals. Yeah. So, as an introduction, my name is Ezra. I am a queer, gender fluid artist, and I have a strong passion about nutrition and exercise. I've been on a significant journey with my health over the last 6 years mainly. But when we think about health and in terms of mindset and being and the goals we develop, it's really a lifelong journey, isn't it? But what I'm talking about is my relationship with exercise and diet, um, which has predominantly been the last 6-ish years. I am a size 18, US size 18, and I love, although my passions in love are resistance training and boxing, I will talk about a lot of different means of getting your exercise in, and then more importantly, why you want to, what drives you, and kind of talk about goals in a healing way that doesn't feel too overwhelming. I think there's a lot of tough love methods out there, hard and fast, and arguably unsustainable, maybe led by misinformation diets and crash courses and really programs that are focused on compressing time for quick results, but you're not gonna you're not gonna find that here. I think that the best approach is the approach that you're actually gonna be able to enjoy, embrace, incorporate into your life gradually, and kind of let a snowball effect work for you in a positive way. So little steps, switches, changes that ultimately over time develop these things that become habit and become a joy and add to your life rather than feel like they're taking away. Um, yeah. I have been a podcast listener for a long time. I listen all the time to a bunch of different ones, but as of late, in terms of health, Huberman Lab and Macros and Muscle, and a bunch of like different, just varying episodes from different health podcasts. Um, I've learned a lot, and there's a lot of information to dissect, and there's a lot of impeccable research that is really encouraging and helpful, and that combined with what I've experienced myself and learned, I feel like can all come together and make a pretty, what's the word, comprehensive and achievable health plan for other plus sized people. So that's essentially what I'm going to be sharing in this podcast. Today's episode, we're going to talk about mainly permission to be, to exist as you are, and perception, what you may think or feel about your body, and kind of dissect why, where certain things come from, maybe what your own feelings have kind of stemmed from. And, there's no right or wrong way to go about mindset and developing what your goal is with your health. But I think there's ways that are more helpful than others. So let's dive into the topic of, because it is inseparable from existing as a plus size person in America. Fat phobia. It is everywhere. It's in every piece of messaging. It's in it's just indoctrinated in our culture from a very young age. And especially for women, it can be um traumatic. It can be a lot of ridicule and this feeling of otherness when you're young. And that's hard to get past. That's hard to leave in the past and not let it affect you growing up and going forward. And that's understandable. And although we can't erase trauma that's happened to us, maybe when you were the subject of hurtful fat jokes like me, or you were treated or looked at as lazy, or just feeling that uh, unspoken and sometimes spoken sense of not belonging. It can be extremely hard. And of course, that the messages you receive when you're young are going to be, can be internalized and just kept lifelong. Um, so there is a common misconception that, supported by research, it's simply not true that being plus size inherently means you are unhealthy, that your diet's unhealthy, that you don't exercise, but that's not true. There's a lot of people that subscribe and believe that BMI is the indicator, is the end all be all indicator of health, in terms of they see the BMI and they immediately get an idea of what your health is. But if anyone has done a crumb of research on BMI and its origins, I'm gonna try not to get mad, but they would find that it is not an accurate means of establishing the health, particularly for women of different ethnicities other than whites. But that is even just leaving that aside. There is some certain attributes that I can understand that, along with other um ideas and comments that have been carried and what's the word, institutionalized, kept in the medical system. Like doctors still use BMI as an indicator of health, obesity versus not, blah blah blah. And there is certain research and statistics that can attribute an excess of adipose tissue on the body to certain health problems. And of course, There is plus size people that maybe their diet is not the best, or maybe they have a very high cholesterol or high fat diet and they lack the resources or education to adjust that diet on their own, or just the mental stability. It can be really hard living as a plus size person in this country. So maybe there are plus size people that have bad diets, yes, but that doesn't mean every plus size person has a bad diet. That doesn't mean every plus size person, and let's talk about bad versus good. Bad versus good. I mean, you go to 10 different people and they will all have different ideas about what the ideal diet is for weight loss or weight maintenance or energy or you know, it's all very confusing and there's a lot to go through. At the end of the day, what's worked for me and what I've developed and talked to my dietitian and weight loss coach that I had briefly, who's an incredible woman. She is just a really mindful, encouraging, so expert level knowledgeable about nutrition. It was a great experience for me. So my dietitian and my weight loss coach. What I and the Human Men Lab and everything I've listened to and this one fabulous audio series on Audible called Hack Your Health, I think, with I believe she was a nutritionist or maybe I think she was a dietitian, but anyway. And then other resources online, everything that I've cultivated has led me to believe, and what I know firsthand, that the best diet is the one that is sustainable and approaches food with understanding and knowledge and no trying to get foods that are nourishing. You want more nutrient dense foods in your diet, so naturally something that has vitamins in it, complex carbs, maybe natural sugars, um, protein, amino acid, everything. A food that has more to offer you instead of a food that's like empty, simple carbs. Um, but those have a place too in terms of like where they can fit into your life and your happiness. And if you're a runner, there's just a lot of things to take into account. So I'll have a whole episode on nutrition. Um, but let's just, for now, start thinking critically, mindfully about the things we've heard from different sources and kind of let it be. Because some things do work for some people, some things don't. And there's a lot of information out there, and it can be hard, if not feel impossible, for you to figure it out on your own. So, this kind of works with my other piece of advice on the topic of perception and permission to exist as you are and try to move forward in a way that's productive to you and not harmful. Um, I would say the same way we challenge what we've heard about diets or what's good and what's bad and carbs are blah 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 and this and that, like all this negative kind of oversimplification of nutrients. Let's challenge that and start thinking about what's going to work for us and move us towards our goals and make us feel good and better. And at the end of the day, this is all about how you feel. And that brings me into the topic of figuring out what your goal is. That can be hard too, We are bombarded with messages about appearance and what it means to be plus size and and just constantly pushed this ideal of being smaller is better, being slimmer is better. And then, particularly for women, there is still a lot of conflicting beliefs of how women should look, particularly from men. So let's, and then we have internalized misogyny as well, internalized fat phobia that makes us continue this narrative of how we should look, what a good hot body looks like. And let's challenge that too, because there is a lot of negativity and shame around being plus size, and I would just encourage you to question if feeling that shame and guilt is helpful or is it hurtful. And what would a future look like to you where you are happy, healthy, and do you have an image in your head of how you want your body to look? And a lot of people do. And if you do, let's dissect why. So if your ideal is a petite body with tone, whatever that means, um, defined muscles and kind of this uh, characterization of the Pilates body. That's understandable because that's been pushed and pushed as the ideal, and you see it and it's aesthetically pleasing to you and everything. Let's consider some of the reasons why. Is it is it a matter of external validation or is it internal? Um, the things you don't like about your body, when did you start not liking them? And that's understandable. Like, none of this is to make you feel shallow or anything. We are told all our lives, as women especially, that our appearance, our beauty is our currency, our agency in this world depends on how we look. So, but I would just invite you to question when those beliefs started becoming yours. Because when we're babies and we are our composition, we are mostly kind of this adipose tissue, and chubby little things. There's no shame in that. There's no guilt. We are just beings, and kind of celebrated for our cuteness and our more rounded, soft features. And then as you grow, you get all these messages from your parents, from the outside world, from everything about how you look and what that makes people think about you. And there's a difference between wanting to develop more endurance and have an easier time with running and have an easier time. There's a lot of reasons to want to lose some weight and particularly lose adipose tissue. Um, and all reasons are valid, but I'm just saying let's start to dissect and analyze our relationship with our body and our adipose and why we feel the way we do about it. Because then your goals will become more clear. I feel like you're like, okay, I don't like this because I feel like I am really insecure about my stomach and it makes me not want to go places, it makes me not want to meet new people, etc. That's completely understandable because you've been told and feel and believe that like that's just your truth. That's how it's been for you. And that's not, nobody's here to tell you that's a shallow goal or whatever. It is a valid goal to lose adipose tissue around your midsection because there is research, usually for men, I believe, is the statistical. But anyway, around the midsection, it can correlate with heart problems. But that is like I'd say that's likely because of that type of fat tends to accumulate with the ingestion of saturated fats. So a diet high in saturated fats could cause accumulation of fat around the midsection, and then that would be an indicator of a diet that is bad, maybe negatively impactful on the cardiovascular system and the veins and arteries. Same with too much cholesterol. So there's some truth there. There's some things to research and learn more about, and I understand. Um, but if we look at the goal on a deeper level, it's not necessarily just that you want to lose weight, because weight is a lot of things. It's the entirety of your body, it's your water weight, it's your muscle, etc. You do want to lose that adipose tissue on your stomach, yeah, but on a deeper level, the reason you want to lose that is because you feel that you'll feel more comfortable in your skin, that you'll feel more confident maybe and be able to pursue the things you want to. So there's a few things there that are really strong motivators, but also really hard things to achieve. A lot of people don't feel comfortable in their body. A lot of people struggle with confidence, and it's been associated with your stomach for a long time, and that's valid. Um, but maybe on a deeper level, there's some more things going on there. So I think mental health is just as important as the physical, because that's really going to influence things. We've all been there. Well, I shouldn't say we all have, but we've all had changes to our body that we felt good about or bad about. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that, how do I put this? Because sometimes you can achieve your goal in terms of changing your body composition, but the question is, will it be enough to make you feel good about yourself if the struggle has maybe been more of a mental thing the whole time? Um, that is not to say that your body composition goals are, what's the word, not valid or won't work to achieve your change in feeling in happiness. I think it will. I think if you have a goal and you achieve it, that always feels good. Um, and especially with all the messaging about our bodies, if we're able to achieve what we perceive as a positive change and result, it's going to be invigorating and encouraging and probably add a lot to your life and in some cases your health and endurance, etc. And ability to perform. But there is just that aspect of mental health too that I think is important to keep attached, keep mindful of. That your mind needs nourishing and encouragement as well, to in addition to whatever changes that you will be or want to be making in terms of exercise and diet. So I know in some ways that is probably a lot to digest and think about, so I think we're going to leave it there today. This is just meant to be an introduction to the series, and in the next episode, we're going to do one on, I think next I will do the first baby steps of getting started with exercise and what that could look like, and how different activities can make you feel, um, and where that could lead to in the future. So we'll kind of go over starting with exercise and then maybe talk a little more about purpose, about um, what would be maybe a potential routine depending on what goals you have in terms of if it's mobility, strength, power, endurance, self-defense. There's a lot of things that exercise can do for you, and we'll dissect what the word exercise maybe conjures mental image wise to you, and kind of will demystify it as a whole and dispel a couple myths about um, exercise and what plus size people need to do to blah, blah, blah. So, um, look forward to that, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening or watching. I just wanted to, I noticed myself yapping all the time about health and nutrition to my boyfriend, so I thought maybe it was time to put it somewhere where people are actually seeking that information instead of me just rambling. Um, so yeah, so this is just me trying something new and trying to share what I think could be helpful to more individuals like me that are maybe plus size and have been on a complicated journey with health and nutrition. And I've just learned a lot over the last few years. And I felt it could be a good thing to share some of it and kind of try to guide someone who's, just seeking more information. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.